I'd now like to welcome Paul back to the stage. This is your topic, isn't it, Paul?
Yes.
So feel free to ask as many questions as you like.
Right. Thank you, David. And just before I begin, I just wanted to introduce Councillor Sarah Whitelock, who's at the back there. She's a Cabinet Member at East Suffolk Council with responsibility for tourism alongside communities and leisure. So there you go. Okay. Right. So I'm gonna just do a few slides on sort of recent proposed investments we're making in the visitor economy, both sort of capital and revenue, just to give a sense of, like I say, of what we're doing. So for those who don't know, that is a shot of the garden, Felixstowe Seafront Gardens, which was a major restoration project that East Suffolk Council funded alongside the National Heritage Fund about 10 years ago. So that was a major scheme, like I say, and still looking great. I was down there just the other day. So before I get into the sort of specific investments, it's worthwhile saying why is East Suffolk Council engaged in tourism in the visitor economy? Well, it's one of our key sectors. As was mentioned earlier, it's got an economic value of almost 700 million a year. It accounts for over 14,000 jobs, and that's over 14% of total employment. So that's significant by any measure. Our new strategic plan, which is shown there on the right-hand side, our Direction 2028, recognises this. Within the thriving economy theme, the visitor economy is a key priority around supporting growth of a responsible and sustainable tourism and visitor economy. But also, it's about encouraging investment in our key sectors, which tourism is one, and also increasing the economic viability of our towns. And many of our market and coastal towns are clearly dependent on tourism. The importance of the sector is further recognised through a specific strategy, the visitor economy strategy, which was adopted in 2022. And this clearly sets out our vision for supporting and enabling sustainable growth through ourselves, through our partners, and through the work we do. And this is both as a direct investor in our own assets, which we'll see in a few slides' time, but also promoting the Suffolk coast as a destination. Clearly, our major route to market is through the DMO on that. So we'll start in the south of the district with Felixstowe. So, as I said, this will highlight some of our recent capital and revenue investments. So Felixstowe, for those who don't know, is the second largest town in East Suffolk, around 30,000 people, depending on how you measure the boundary. But it does have a buoyant visitor economy, a buoyant and growing visitor economy. In 2022, we opened the CU Cafe, so that's the top right, at the South Seafront. It's a iconic design. It was intentionally meant to make a statement on the coast there. It's been highly successful so far, perhaps exceeded expectations, and it provides a sort of quality food and beverage offer in an underserved area of the resort. Last year, we also launched the Beach Village, which is the bottom image there. That includes accessible beach pods for hire, new beach huts for sale and rent, new toilets and changing room facility, and also within a sort of quality landscaped environment. And a sister project to this is the activity park, which you can see in the top left. And that includes a petanque pitch, climbing wall, outdoor gym, table tennis, chess, etc. Again, all within a sort of a well-landscaped area. So just some of the examples of recent investments in Felixstowe. In terms of future plans, well, we had a vision for the whole of the town, for Felixstowe, in going back to about 2016. We're currently refreshing that. We're going to be doing some master planning, but the tourism, the resort area of Felixstowe is a key area within this sort of vision. And some of the sort of early schemes that we're now looking at for the future include working with the Heritage Lottery Fund to make the Martello P Tower more accessible. Again, that's on the South Seafront. Working closely with the Landguard Trust on the Landguard Gateway project, which is going to be a new gateway to the nature reserve and the fort. And also a landscaping and revitalisation scheme around the seafront gardens on Sea Road, and looking at how we can work with the highways team at Suffolk County Council and to incorporate that area and enhance the visitor experience. And for those familiar with that area, we've got Beach Street, we've got the new cafe, we've got the CU. There's quite a lot of recent development going on in that area, and it's definitely extending the resort southwards. It's also worth mentioning that throughout the whole district, we enable events, and clearly they've got, they're about increasing footfall and driving visitors to the area. We engaged a number of years back in some sort of key stakeholder research that included businesses, town councils, visitors and residents to understand the sort of challenges and opportunities across a number of our towns. And one of the outcomes of that was this sort of events programme enabling local towns to host events, whether that's through sort of guidance and information or, pump priming with funding, etc. It was around driving footfall into towns, enhancing that sort of pride of place, especially after COVID, and something that not only benefits visitors but also residents as well. So towns such as Southwold, Bungay, Aldborough, Saxmundham, Beccles, Halesworth, Felixstowe and Lowestoft have all benefited from hosting these events. And it hasn't just been a case of enabling events, it's also been providing training to how you put on events to make this programme more sustainable. And we're currently developing a successor programme which we hope to announce in the coming months. And it's not just about local events as well. We've been looking at sort of, large events and enabling those in the area, so those of national and international importance. We've got a long history of hosting the women's and men's Tour of Britain cycling races, which have a national and international profile. Previous examples in the past include Aldborough, Southwold and Beccles that have benefited from either a start or a finish. And last year there was a start and a finish in Felixstowe. And clearly this has huge benefit for the local businesses. It showcases the area to new visitors. It gets national TV coverage. And we're currently in advanced talks to host the 2024 Men's Tour of Britain within the district. So further details on that in the coming weeks and months. And going back to the sort of our work across towns as well, we're also involved in branding, sort of physical and digital branding. We supported towns to do this work through direct funding and putting them in touch with different suppliers. Again, this is around raising the profile of these areas as destinations, and this includes new wayfinding, visitor websites, place branding. And again, key examples of that, and some of them are on the screen there, include Woodbridge, Leiston, Bungay, who've all been beneficiaries of this investment and support. I'm sure many of you will have heard of the First Light Festival, and the head of the First Light Festival is in the audience today, Genevieve Christie. So East Suffolk Council were instrumental in working with Genevieve and other partners to develop the First Light Festival. It's a nationally renowned festival now, and for those who don't know, held at Lowestoft South Beach every June to coincide with the longest day. The first festival is put together by the First Light Festival Community Interest Company, and this year will be its 4th year of the full festival. And it's around celebrating the most easterly point, and also I believe I'm correct in saying it's the largest free festival on a beach in the UK. So that's quite significant. In terms of the 2023 event, which took place last year, there was 40,000 people attended, which represented a 15% increase on the previous year. Average spend per head on the festival site was £30. 100% occupancy within local hotels and B&Bs in the area. And there was a mass of sort of press and media features, 120 press features in total, including 2 articles within The Guardian, 2 television features and 10 radio interviews, all profiling Lowestoft and that wider area as a tourism destination. There's been very strong engagement with local groups in the development of the festival, and it does form part of a wider cultural programme in the area. So moving on to some of other big capital investments, we're undertaking a major regeneration programme in Lowestoft at the moment. Lowestoft, obviously, at the far north of the district. It's our largest town. Over 70,000 people live there. But it does have some key sort of socioeconomic challenges, deprivation challenges. So there's a significant investment programme, and a lot of this is around sort of using leisure, culture and visitor-focused facilities as a driver for growth and regeneration in the town. What we've got on the slide there on the left-hand side is the post office building, which we bought back in 2018 and are currently redeveloping into a new gallery, cafe and teaching space. It will be operated by Messrs East, which is a national gallerist. They've got facilities across the country. And the first artist in residence will be Lawrence Edward, who is an internationally renowned sculptor, but with strong Lowestoft connections. And for those of you who drove through Yoxford this morning, or past Yoxford, you would have seen the Oxford Man, which is one of his sculptures, so quite significant there. The other picture is of the proposed cultural quarter. This is the biggest development within our Towns Fund programme in Lowestoft, £24 million, and it's around delivering an enhanced leisure and cultural development in the heart of the town centre, adjacent to the current Marina Theatre. And it also includes investment in the theatre itself as well, so there'll be a new cultural space, improved sort of studio space, and a restaurant in the theatre. Completion of that project is due March 2026, so coming in the next couple of years. Moving on to the sort of seafront in Lowestoft, we have an initiative called the Seafront Vision, and this is very much focused around the Royal Plain and the Royal Green area, and this is an area which surrounds the recently refurbished East Point Pavilion. It's an important gateway space that links the seafront to the town centre, and it's around creating a year-round multifunctional space for events, markets, social gatherings and play space. There's a long resort-focused history for this area, dating back to the 1840s, which was established by Sir Samuel Morton Peto, a famous son of the town. In terms of improvements, we're looking at enhanced lighting, increased planting, pedestrian and cycle infrastructure, enhanced event space, new seating, and the biggest project, the highest profile amongst this, is the reinstatement and replacement of the popular fountains. It will complement the East Point Pavilion facility there, and also it will intend to improve connectivity. Construction is due to be completed in spring of 2025, so within the next 18 months to, next year to 18 months. And then moving along the beach, on Lowestoft South Beach, we secured levelling up funding a couple of years ago now, I think. And we're using that to regenerate a key public asset on the seafront and the surrounding public realm. This includes the creation of a new two-floored building with a seafront cafe, accessible lift, new concessions, new toilets, showers, and a changing places facility. The works have just begun, so the demolition work is beginning, and with practical completion due in May 2025. And it will provide a sort of massively enhanced seafront facility on one of sort of Britain's best beaches there. I mean, if you've seen the current structure there, it's very dated, it's of its time, and and it's got some aesthetics there we want to retain. Some of the sort of the design work, we're making sure that the new building reflects that, but it definitely needed some investment and updating. So that was a very quick whiz through our recent investments and investments coming up. I mean, it's quite dynamic depending on the funding we get. We change all the time, but yeah, I think it's a significant portfolio of investment. So, any questions? Unless I've run out of time, Annie.
No, that's fine. We're ahead of time. So.
Okay.
There's always one.
Thanks for that, Paul. It's Judith Mobbs from Fire and Feast. It's really good to see the regeneration of the coastal key towns, because they are an important draw for tourists to our area and visitors. But I would like to have heard something about tourism in our rural areas and our countryside. And it did feel very much weighted towards the kind of urban the urban coastal region. Now, I understand you're not going to be investing in big infrastructure projects in the inland countryside areas because that would actually be counterproductive. But there must be an opportunity for your strategy to draw visitors inland. And that actually benefits the coast as well because it means it's not overcrowded. So what's the plan on that, East Suffolk?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I mean, in terms of the sort of big infrastructure projects, that's very much led by where our assets exist as well. So clearly we can only invest in areas where we can build in areas where we own assets. That makes life a lot easier. I did mention we have an events program, and there's other work that we've done within market towns, which supply the sort of rural area. In terms of, you know, investment in key rural areas, that's within our strategy to support that, and you know, we will be looking at programs as we move forward to develop that. But it's an area that's probably more of a challenge for us in terms of, you know, our asset ownership and our ability to invest where we'll get the greatest return on our investment. But yeah, that is something that, you know, is part of our strategy. So it's a good point. It's a good challenge, Judith. So yeah.
Hi, me again, Paul. Leslie Hill, Chair of Leiston-cum-Sizewell Town Council. Following on the previous question, although Leiston-cum-Sizewell has got a beach, could you mention that Leiston has a place board with a view to having major regeneration of our town?
Yes, no, definitely. So we established a place board with the Town Council, CLT and other partners, I think, is it about a year ago now? Must be getting on for that. And one of the key projects we're looking at is a town centre regeneration project. It's very early days. We're scoping out the opportunity. That part of that regeneration project is trying to draw more people into Leiston and show the benefits of the site. It's strongly linked to some of the investment that's going to go in through the Sizewell C development in relation to a new transport and traffic scheme. And we also, in the future, also want to try and bring forward a sort of heritage quarter within the town as well. And this all relates back to some master planning work that was undertaken in the town to provide that strategic view of where investments could be made to support Leiston.
Oh, going on to, sorry, just ask about things being done within the rural area of Suffolk rather than just the coast. The planners seem to have a strategy that doesn't represent what you're saying. In other words, I put in for planning permission and they said, no, we don't want things in a rural environment, we want them in towns, which is what more or less the point that was just made. What is the strategy?
Well, I guess, yeah, I suppose it's got to be appropriate development, hasn't it? Yeah, well, as I say, yeah. I mean, as I say, I'm not a planner, but I do understand that the development needs to be appropriate to the area in which it's listed. I think the other point to make though about this, and why are you investing so much in urban areas? Some of this is about. It's not just about tourism development. It's about regeneration. It's about improving local economies. We look at the district as a whole. By far, the greatest need is in Lowestoft. You're looking at a town that's got some of the most deprived districts in the whole of the deprived wards, deprived neighbourhoods in the whole of the country. They're within the top 10%. So these really struggling areas. So it is using our limited investment to try and have the biggest impact and return on investment, but also to address some of those sort of key challenges that we have. That's not to say we don't do things in other parts of the district, but the scale is appropriate, the investment is appropriate, and sometimes it's driven where our assets are as well, because clearly if we own our assets, it's cheaper to invest in them.
So I was talking about your assets, your investment, I was talking about
yes,
people's and your strategy rather than strategy.
Well, I think that's a planning issue as much as anything, isn't it, what you're relating to there? You've put forward a proposal which, for whatever reason, the planning department have turned down because it's against the local plan. The opportunity to address that is through the local plan review. So that's the point in which we can, because it's a policy issue. So we've got Councillor Whitelock, I think, might be coming in to respond.
On? Yep. Just as a ward councillor as well as the cabinet member, if you have a planning issue, your ward councillor may be able to help in one way or another, whether it's for or against. So if you look on the East Suffolk website, look for your local ward councillor, just explain what your thoughts are about a particular planning issue, and they should get involved and be able to either support or not either what you're proposing or somebody else is proposing that you may not be happy about. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Any other questions? No? Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you.